Welcome to 5 Minutes with, the show where we spend 5 minutes or so chatting to a motorsport star. Today on the show we have
Sebastian Montoya.
Sebastian Montoya from Formula 3, and I wanted to ask with you, obviously, for older viewers like myself, your name's a very familiar one, as we've seen your dad racing over many years in Formula 1, NASCAR, IndyCar series like that. I wanted to ask how involved your father has been with your racing career and whether you always wanted to compete in single-seaters as a result.
Yeah, my dad, he bought me a car when I was 3, and to be honest, at the beginning, I didn't really like it. I thought it was a bit too slow for my liking. I was a bit more into like motorcycles and stuff like that, especially in Colombia when we would go to the farms and stuff. I would have my little quad, and that was quicker than my go-kart at the time, so I liked that a bit more. And then when I was 6, he gave me a bigger car, and from there, I just kind of stuck with it, and it was really fun.
I think that tells you that you've got the racing instinct straight away. You get into a go-kart and you think, oh, this is too slow for my liking. I want something faster.
Yeah, like, for me, it was kind of crazy because, like, you kind of make your way up through karting, and, like, each thing you drive is faster, has more grip, and kind of like that. And then you jump into the F4, and when you jump into the F4, it's, like, going back to, like, the baby karts in karting. Like, it's all very fast, it has very little grip, it slides around a lot. So then doing that, then jumping into regional, F3, and then having driven other cars like MP2, F1, you kind of start realizing the different kinds of like motorsports in itself. So I do really like single-seaters, but I'm also really open in the future after I accomplish my goal of becoming a Formula 1 world champion to try other disciplines.
Oh yeah, setting your sights high, I like that. I really like that. Is Juan someone who gives a lot of advice? What's the best piece of advice that he's given you over the years, if so?
The best advice he's ever given me is probably just to enjoy it, because you have to work so hard at it and it's so difficult. Like, people don't really realize how hard it is and how much work you have to put into it and how little you get in return for how much you put in. So the biggest thing is that you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy being in the car. You have to enjoy putting in the hours. You have to enjoy working with the team. And you also have to enjoy being okay with sometimes it not working out, and when it does work out, you really enjoy that a lot more because it's a lot more suffering than pleasure.
Yeah, it is the long journey, and it's interesting you mentioned success as well. You got your first Formula 3 podium of the season in Spa at the previous round. And how do you reflect on your second full season of Formula 3 racing in 2024?
An absolute roller coaster. It was kind of insane because we started, like, the thing with F3 is that you don't have a lot of testing. And you have 3 test days at the beginning of the year in Bahrain as preseason tests. And I got insanely ill the first day of testing. And the 3 days of testing, I think in total, I did like 30 laps over 3 days. And most of those 30 laps, I think 20 of those were just one race run. Like, I was extremely ill. I felt extremely bad. The first day of testing, my engine blew up. It was just a mess and it really put me in a hard space starting the year because I wasn't able to work on what I wanted to work on. Like, in off season, we did a lot of work with the team to prepare for that test, and then we got to that test, and then everything kind of went quite out of plan. So, I mean, it was quite difficult. Obviously, then you have to start working throughout the weekends to try to see where you're at, to see what you need to improve, what the car needs to improve, what the driving needs to improve. Because then at that point, you just kind of find a base, if that makes sense. You're trying to find a base to where you start building, and I think that's kind of what we did. We did Bahrain, which, to be honest, the team wasn't that fast in quali. Then in the races, we showed good pace, and then we went to Australia. Got a bit unlucky in qualifying. It's that in F3, qualifying is everything. If you're able to get into the top 12, especially into the top 5, changes your weekend completely. And then from there, we were just kind of slowly building up. One in Australia overall was a good week, and the race pace has been really strong. Then we went to Imola, where I made a small mistake in practice, and then you go out to qualify and you're driving on a track that has a lot more grip. The conditions are a lot more different, and then you have one lap, which is the end what you have, and then trying to look for track position while trying to warm up your tires with 30 cars on track makes it a bit complicated. And yeah, for me, a big turning point in the season was probably Monaco. Monaco for me was quite difficult because I know I'm faster on Monaco, and Monaco, the driver can make more of a difference than the car. And in FP, I was really strong. In the dry, I was really strong. And then in the wet, I was also really strong. So in both conditions, I felt quite comfortable. I wasn't going 100%. So I knew I had some time in me, and I knew that time would put me enough in the top 5. Just when you're unlucky in qualifying, we were at the end of the pit lane. So our warm-up compromised. And then my first push was good, but the tires weren't in the correct window for the second push. So it's just kind of like the snowball effect that we were having. And then with my engineer and my dad, we sat down after Monaco and we looked at everything and we went, right, so we're missing a bit of pace and there's a few things we need to do differently. And then I think that's where we started doing the big step, because ever since we got to Barcelona, like in qualifying and practice, I've been just there and I've just consistently been there every weekend. And I think that's exactly what Spa was. It was just consistency. Just the consistency of being there from FP, being there in quali, doing the 3 laps, 2 laps, doing the laps, solid lap after lap. And then in the races, doing what I've been doing since the beginning of the year, just kind of pound around and pass people. That's kind of what it's been. And obviously, it has been a hard season. Obviously, I'm not going to lie to you. I do want to be fighting for more wins. I want to be fighting for more podiums. But at the end of the day, it is motorsport. It's kind of what I was talking about at the beginning, that you get very little of what you give in this sport. But it is what it is. And to be honest, I love it. I love the chase, I love the thrill, and I love getting a good result. And when I don't get it, I'll just work even harder till I do.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you've got the right attitude at the end of the day. And I had no idea about you being so ill at the start of the season like that. Like you said, it knocks you off balance. And from there, you're effectively playing catch up, especially when the car's having engine troubles as well. It just seems like everything was happening all at once there.
Yeah, like it sucked because I kept getting faster. And every time I kept getting faster, there was more problems and more problems and more issues. And you just kind of go, when does it stop? And honestly, like I said at the beginning, like they did an interview with me at the beginning of the week in Spa, and they asked me if I wanted to win, and I went, yeah, obviously I want to win. But for me, my goal this weekend isn't just to win; it's to get a clean weekend. It's to finish good. It's to finish finish the weekend without really having to say anything. Like I can tell you one thing about all week, like every weekend except Spa. Like Bahrain, I was sick with the track limits. Then Australia, I got traffic when I was going for a top 5. Imola, since I crashed on FP and I got a bit of traffic in qualifying, then you're already behind. Monaco, the tires weren't in the correct window due to their starting position in the pit lane. Then from there we went to Barcelona, which I got a gust of wind in the last corner when I should have gone for pole. And I lost 4/10 in the last corner. You just kind of go, that's insane. Like, and there's so many things just keep happening, which in the end didn't happen in Spa. I'm really thankful for that, because as a driver, you always want a clean weekend. Because when you're always suffering like that, there's always a big confidence fight with yourself to say that you're still good enough. And for me, that was a really big positive thing, because I have a good group of people around me that kept supporting me and pushing me in that direction. And I was really motivated, and I was really happy with the pace we found in Spa. Spa for me has always been one of those tracks where I kind of just enjoy flowing around, and it just works for me. And that's exactly what we did that weekend. Honestly, it was really nice, especially considering my last podium in F3 before this one was Australia last year. I wanted to get back on last year. I felt like I was really unlucky in some places, that I should have finished on the podium. I should have won a race, and it just out of my control. There's something happened. And this year, I think we've had this even more speedy than last year. It's just having to show it a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it all came together in Spa. Spa is a wonderful circuit. It's a magical place. I've been lucky enough to go there a few years ago, and yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to race around. Just if I can as well, can we mention the Red Bull? Because I'm very handily reminded by your cap that you're a Red Bull junior driver. How important have they been in your junior career so far? What is been the level of support they've been giving? Obviously, they sponsor you, and obviously I know there's some finances involved in that. But what else do they kind of provide? Is it coaching and stuff like that as well? How does it all work?
So originally I was signed. So there's actually quite interesting. Like, there's the Red Bull Junior team, and then there's the Red Bull Athlete. Currently, as a Red Bull Athlete, last year I was a Red Bull Junior team, and the year before I was a Red Bull Athlete. As a Red Bull Athlete, I worked directly with Red Bull HQ from Austria, and some other countries I work with is Red Bull USA and Red Bull Colombia. Red Bull Colombia was actually the people that wanted to sign me at first, back in 2022 when I was racing in regional, and I did one race with Campos in F3. In Zambia, and I got signed by Helmut Marko. And yeah, last year was a big learning experience. It was an interesting year, but it was really nice in terms of learning and gaining information for myself. Like I learned a lot of things, like in tire management, tire warm up, and also mechanically about the car, how aerodynamics works and stuff like that. So it was really cool. Also how the F1 drivers operate during a race weekend with the engineers, the team, and kind of their mindset for the weekend. So that was really cool. And then this year being back as a Red Bull Athlete, kind of working with the company, there's just more kind of a sponsor now.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's a complicated thing. I literally just remembered and seeing your cap. I'm just like, I might as well ask about that as well. So that all makes sense. Well, one final question before you go. What was it like when Helmut Marko approached you? Was it literally just, I'm going to sign you? Because he's not someone who often minces his words. He doesn't usually mess around.
I was actually celebrating my sister's birthday, and we were all eating ice cream. It was the whole family, and my dad gets a call. So he stands up, walks away, and he's like, we see him outside. He's kind of annoying. Okay. Walks in and he says, "You're racing with High Tech next year." And I go, "Okay, interesting." And he went, "Yeah, and you're going to be a Red Bull Junior driver." And I go, "Oh, that's kind of how it went."
One more scoop, please. Definitely celebrate after that. Well, thank you so much for your time, Seb. It's been a great chat. And yeah, best of luck for Monza in a couple of weeks' time, and best of luck for whatever 2025 and beyond brings you as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, always welcome, always welcome. Who do you guys want to see on the show next? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, follow us on f1chronicle.com to see much more content like this. We've got our back catalogue of episodes as well, where I chat with some other F2 and F3 stars as well. So yeah, much more content coming your way soon, guys. So yeah, see you very soon.